Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rising. Jamal Simmons in for Crystal Ball. Jamal, what are we hitting today?
I think we're going to spend a little time over across the pond looking at how our president's faring with the Queen.
Sounds good to me. We get that and a lot more coming up on Rising.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Rising. Buck, you got a couple things on your mind. What's going on today?
Indeed, Jamal, big tech is getting probed. That's right. The Department of Justice now has jurisdiction over Apple to look into whether some of Apple and some of the other very prominent, powerful tech stocks are engaged in anti-competitive practices. That's right. We're looking at some trust-busting activity possibly going on down the line here. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, has geared up and is going to be investigating as well. You also have House Judiciary calling for hearings. Everybody's looking at the possibility of breaking up these internet giants, known sometimes as the FANG stocks: Facebook, Apple, Google, Netflix, although Netflix isn't really a part of this one for right now. People are wondering, is this good government or big government in action? Is this what the government should be doing? Are we picking winners and losers, or ensuring that there'll be better competition? See, Jamal, the big question here is whether the standard up to this point, which usually has to do with whether consumers are getting price gouged, right? That's when trust busting starts to happen. If you have a company that all of a sudden has such a dominant market share, they say, well, we're just going to raise prices 10x and no one can do anything about it. That doesn't happen with the internet. People are more concerned about the First Amendment, about innovation, about other things. And I think it's interesting because this is one where conservatives are split. Not everybody's on board for this on the right. I wonder what people think on the left.
I think people on the left are split about this too, because on one hand, tech was like the place where all dreams were going to be made. Everybody goes to Silicon Valley, and small guy in a garage becomes a multi-millionaire building a new product. The problem is some of these platforms have gotten so big, and you've had such vertical integration, which is something you have to worry about, where you've got a company like Amazon, which is both the platform where you go and buy things, a supermarket, but then they also make the goods in the supermarket. And the question is, are they favoring their own products over the competitors? That's where they get into trouble.
What's on your mind, Jamal?
Yesterday was a big day in the business world, and let's talk a little bit about what was happening on Twitter. Forget the Democratic debate over socialism. Black Twitter was on fire yesterday when Forbes announced hip-hop mogul Jay-Z made the billionaire list. Black Enterprise reports Jay-Z is the 5th black person on the list this year, which includes Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, and entrepreneurs David Stewart and Robert Smith. This is the same Robert Smith who recently announced he would pay off the student loan debt of every Morehouse College graduate this year. Black Americans have always been aspirational progressives who love a financial success story. Hair care pioneer Madam C.J. Walker was celebrated as the first black woman millionaire at the turn of the 20th century. In the 1990s, Reginald Lewis made history as the first black CEO to build a billion-dollar company. And these days, black women, who are the backbone of the Democratic Party, are ducking the socialism debate while founding companies. But institutional barriers still exist. African Americans have less wealth than whites, make less money, and have access to less capital for entrepreneurship. Black and Latina women are the fastest growing entrepreneurial cohort in the country. They own over 1.5 million businesses that gross over $44 billion in revenue, yet they only can raise about $36,000 for every $1.3 million raised by the average white founded tech startup. So speaking of Jay-Z, forget about socialism. America should follow his multi-millionaire wife Beyonce's advice. Put some respect on our checks, pay us in equity, and watch us reverse out of debt. The candidate with that platform would slay.
I like Jay-Z's music.
Jay-Z's music is good. And I'll tell you, look, I think in the African-American community, there's always been this idea that they didn't want to disrupt American society. They wanted to participate in American society, get a piece of the pie, not just bake them.
Yeah.
So,
Congrats to Jay-Z. And Beats, I assume, was a pretty big part of this portfolio. Didn't he sell Beats?
I think Beats was Dr. Dre.
I'm sorry.
But Jay-Z has Tidal.
There we go.
Tidal, which is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, and that is, did that IPO or someone bought it?
No, it's kind of struggling a little bit. You don't make money off of every deal, but he's making enough money off of enough of them, apparently. And some of the people who like President Trump, President Trump did pretty well with African American, not pretty well, but he did better with African American men than he did with African American women, 7 or 8% in the last election. I think a lot of them were supporting him because they thought, maybe Trump will help us make some money too. I think people are still waiting to see whether that's going to come true.
Indeed.
All right.
Next on Rising. To reduce the sea of 2020 Democratic hopefuls, the DNC is changing the qualifications for the third primary debate.
But some are questioning what brought about the rule change and whether any candidates were involved in the decision. 2020 contender John Delaney discusses why he's speaking out about the new requirements when Rising continues.